Crystal Racing with the mid-season report. Yes, I know this is very badly timed because it's only going to be uploaded about 5 hours before the start of the Belgium Grand Prix. But let's get on with it. Starting off with 20th place, Nikita Mazepin. 4.58 out of 10. Yes, I could be being harsh because who knows? That horse could well be an absolute pile of junk, but as far as I'm concerned, Nikita Mazepin has been the worst driver on the grid this season. He got a 1 for his performance at Bahrain, and he's been getting 4, 5s and 6s consistently throughout this season because frankly, I just don't think he's any good, and let's hope Michael Andretti goes and buys out Haas at the end of the season so we can send him, Mazepin and his dad out of this sport because the kid's no god and I don't really believe he has any talent. 19th place, Nicholas Latifi, 5.63 out of 10. Great driver, Hungary, got 9 out of 10, but apart from that, he's been getting 7s, 6, 5s, 4s, and even a few, quite a lot of 3s if we're going to be honest, because, again, I don't rate him that much, but he's nowhere near as bad as Mazepin, but his qualifying speed just stinks, and, you know, whilst a lot of people said he did well in qualifying yesterday in Belgium, he's still, well, I mean, he qualified 10 places behind George Russell, and he was well over a second slower in Q2, where, of course, he got knocked out, was, of course, Russell, as we all know, pulled out that miracle lap. And yeah, Hungary was a fluke, sorry, mate. Yuki Tsunoda is in 18th place, 5.92 out of 10, only about 0.3 points ahead of Latifi. You know, I think he's improved. He improved a bit in the past 5 races, but, you know, it's mostly 7s out of 10s. I gave him 8 out of 10 for his performance at Baku, but frankly, he's just okay. Needs to do a lot more, to be honest. But, you know, I'm sure he'll get a second year, but if he doesn't improve drastically between now and the end of next year, I mean, at this moment in time, I don't really rate him as long-term F1 material. So yeah, come on, Yuki. 17th place, and it's really what has been a dire first half of the season for Daniel Ricciardo. 6.17 out of 10. Man, this guy has been getting battered in qualifying by Norris almost every week. And I've also got to say, yeah, he did well in qualifying yesterday in Belgium, getting P5. But as we all know, Lando Norris crashed out. So do we really know how good his lap was? I don't know. But as it was, he got 3 out of 10 for his performance at Hungary. Yes, I know he had damage, but the guy finished behind Kimi Raikkonen, which is just, I mean, that's just awful, really, to be frankly honest. Even when you got damage on your car, and a car as good as the McLaren. And of course, you have to realise, of course, Ferrari are now currently in P3 in the Constructors' Championship on countback due to Ricciardo's failings. He's really let the team down after, say, his performances. He's going to do so much better in the second half of this year because, I mean, he's beginning to look like a bit of a waste of money at this point. 16th place. And my word, as he really struggled so far this season, is none other than Mr. Valtteri Bottas, who got 0 out of 10 for his performance at Hungary, taking, sort of forgot to tell him it was a car race. The guy treated it like a visit to the bowling alley. You know, got a perfect, knocked 4 cars out with a brilliant strike. Oh dear, I'm not sure motor racing should think anymore, Valtteri, because that was, well, I mean, 6.29 out of 10 so far for his performances this season. I know that's harsh, but, yeah, he did well at Austria, he did well at Silverstone, but there's been other performances such as Imola and Baku where he was miles off the pace, and he's not done any better than 8.5 out of 10, which he got for his performance at Styria. Or was it the Austrian race? I'm not sure what. I don't know. It was race 2 at Austria, okay? I apologise if I got it wrong. 15th place, Sergio Perez. Did well at Baku to win the race, but frankly, just like Bottas and Ricciardo, he's not been that impressive at all. It's a C grade for Perez, and if I'm going to start giving out school grades, it's a C for Perez. C- for Bottas, C- for Ricciardo, D+ for Tsunoda, D for Latifi, and a solid E for Mazepin. Sergio Perez, on the other hand, his qualified performances haven't really been any better than what Alex Albon was producing at the back end of last season. But he has been kept up for 2022, so I suppose his experience is coming in handy, but got to really improve a lot. And, he got 2 3 out of 10 for his performances at Silverstone. Just not good enough. Seriously, man. And his performances at Austria were pretty... God, not very good. I did give him 7 out of 10 for what happened at Hungary, but that's because because he got taken out of the first corner. I just felt sorry for him. I just gave him 7 out of 10. 14th place, having started the season off so well and now has dropped back, it is Antonio Giovinazzi. 6.79 out of 10. I'll give him an A for his... Not an A, boy. A C grade for his performances so far. Got, his performances have dropped off. France and the 2 races in Austria were really poor. Just such poor race pace. Just didn't do anything at all. And then, of course, got a 7 for the sprint race at Silverstone. Got a 6 for his performance at the actual race itself. And then he got 5 out of 10 for his performance at Hungary because he picked up a daft drive-through penalty. And he finished 14th and last behind Mick Schumacher. Just an awful performance. And Giovinazzi, if he carries on, yes, his qualified performances are great. He's out-qualified Kimi 9 times in the 12 races they've had this season, but his race pace is absolutely abysmal, and frankly, it looks like he's going to be leaving F1 if he carries on like this at the end of this season. Mick Schumacher is in 13th place. Same score as Antonio Giovinazzi, but I think he's doing admirably well in that absolute joke of a horse he's driving. Been consistently getting lots of 7s, a few 8s and a 9. Of course, he got 9 for his performance at Bahrain. But he's been consistently scoring around 7s and 8s, but he did get a few 4 out of 10 for his performance at Monaco, a 5 for his performances at Baku and France. They were not very good. And he got a 5 for his race at Silverstone. I don't know what on earth he was doing. I think he got involved in an incident and just a bad day in the office. But, strong start to his career in F1. I've got to say for Mick Schumacher, who for me has been the rookie of the season so far. 12th place, it is none other than Sebastian Vettel. Got disqualified from 2nd place due to not being able to provide enough insufficient liquid in the fuel tank to provide a fuel sample, which was of course 1.44 litres. Aston Martin couldn't provide it, and yes, despite all the protests, it all fell through, meaning that it actually doesn't serve Alfa Romeo very well, that disqualification, because now they need to score 8 points over Hall Williams in the Constructors' Championship. As for Aston Martin, they're down in 7th place. I've got to say, Vettel, despite some outstanding performances so far, at Monaco, Baku and Hungary, he's been very inconsistent. His scores are all over the place. A 4 at Bahrain for hitting Ocon, a 2 for spinning at Silverstone, a 6 at France, a 6 at Austria, and then of course, he got a 7 for his performance at Imola and a 6 out of 10 for his race at Portimao, where both Aston Martin were just miles off the pace. But then, of course, he got 2 10s for Monaco and Baku. It's just been up and down. He's just honestly, don't get me wrong, he's still got the speed and the talent, but peak Vettel is over, mate. 11th place, it is, of course, his teammate Lance Stroll. 7.125 out of 10. I'll give Stroll a B-, and I'll give Vettel a C+, because yes, I know Stroll has scored fewer points, but Stroll has been more consistent than Sebastian Vettel this season, and he is ahead despite the fact that I gave Stroll 3 out of 10 for, clattering into Leclerc at Hungary. But for me, Stroll has been more or less, okay, not the best qualifying, but he is sort of qualifying around the same places, always qualifying in Q2 and occasionally getting into Q3. For me, his race pace and his racecraft is looking a lot tidier, it's looking a lot more consistent, and I think improvements will come for Lance Stroll. 10th place, and yes, I understand it's probably a bit too high for this guy, but it's Kimi Raikkonen. Yes, his qualifying is absolutely abysmal now. He can't qualify to save his life, but his race pace is still remarkably good, and his racecraft is still there. Because of course of Vettel's disqualification at Hungary, Kimi Raikkonen now has 2 points for the season. But of course, for Aston Martin, my God, we need a real fluke to happen now. Yeah, I know Kimi made mistakes at Portugal and Austria, and I think somewhere else where hit Giovinazzi, hit Vettel, and then of course he hit Perez at Silverstone. But thing is, and of course he spun at Imola, but the thing is though, his racecraft is still there. He still can push a car very hard during a race, and he's still Alfa Romeo's go-to man when there's a chance for a big result coming. 9th place it is Esteban Ocon, 7.5 out of 10. Gonna give him a B grade, and I'll give Kimi a B grade. Of course, that win puts him ahead of Alonso in the Drivers' Championship, but for me, Alonso's been a better driver, and I will reveal where Alonso sits on this list. Ocon started the season off so strongly, but then of course he signed that new contract extension until 2024 at France, and since then he's just been really average. 5 out of 10 for his race, 6 out of 10 for his performance at Baku, 5 for France, 5 for both races at Austria. But he did get a big fat 10 for his win at Hungary, so swings and roundabouts. 8th place, and I know I always tend to rate this guy around this place for some reason, it's Charles Leclerc again. Same story really, great qualifying pace, outstanding on his best race days, but always prone to some daft error or some over-optimistic overtaking manoeuvre, which means that he is actually only 1 point behind Sainz. If Charles Leclerc can clean up his overtakes and improve his racecraft, my God, he is a proper world champion in the waiting. And, well, his sheer qualifying speed means he is a potential world champion anyway. But if he really could improve his racecraft, my God, he's going to be deadly. And he's been very good for Ferrari so far, but of course, crashing out and qualifying at Monaco after he got pole was a bit silly, and then, which meant he couldn't start the race, and of course he nearly won at Silverstone. But of course he ran out of tyres 2 laps to go. 7th place, it is the championship leader, Lewis Hamilton. Yes, I know it sounds harsh, but Lewis has made some very worrying mistakes so far this season, going off the road at Imola. His dreadful weekend at Monaco. And then, of course, going off the road at Baku, where he only got 5 out of 10. I gave him a 4 for what happened at Monaco. That was just terrible. I gave him a 6 for the first race at Austria, where he went off the road and he finished 4th. Not impressed by that performance at all. I did give him 8 out of 10 for his race at Hungary, because I know it's harsh, but I can't help but think that the faster guy should have got past Alonso much sooner, but he didn't, and that cost him the win. 6th place, and it is Lewis, a potential future Mercedes driver, in George Russell, whose qualifying speed has just been nothing but sensational. Although I will say, though, that Williams has definitely improved now. Like, for goodness sake, I mean, Latifi qualified P11 yesterday at Belgium. But for Russell, he nearly grabbed pole position. I was absolutely stunned. But, yes, the result at Hungary was a fluke. You got to realise that Williams has improved to the point where it can now hang on to a points position, unlike the past 2 years. And, as for George, he's just, he nearly scored points at Austria. He qualified in the top 10 at Silverstone, and of course, thanks to the daft new sprint format, it meant you just kept losing positions. Until it all finally came up trumps in Hungary, where Williams finally scored their first points in 2 years and scored 10 points in one go. I hope that sort of luck comes through Alfa Romeo because I do not want to see my team finish P9. 5th place, Pierre Gasly, same score as Russell, 8.125. I mean, Leclerc gets 8.00 and Hamilton gets 8.08. I'll give Leclerc and Hamilton A-, and I'll also give Gasly and Russell A-. Gasly, as always, pushing the car to the limit. Okay, he got 3 out of 10 for his first race at Bahrain, but since then he's just been so good, so very good. Although I did give him a pair of 6s for his performance at Silverstone because that was an off weekend for Gasly. But, of course, that podium at Baku, I gave him, I think it was 9, was it 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10? Yeah, 10 out of 10. Just fantastic that weekend. And frankly, Pierre's been getting a load of 8s, 9s, and 10s mostly from me because the guy is I know it seems a bit ridiculous, but I honestly think if you give him the right car, right environment, he could be a potential world champion. And he has the work ethic and mental strength to match. 4th place, it is Fernando Alonso. Incredible. A grade for his performances so far this season. Okay, yes, he started the season off slowly, but since Monaco, he has been Baku, he has been absolutely sensational. 9, 9, 8.5, 9, 10, 9, 9.5 has been his score since Baku, since of course he made that rocket restart, but he finished P6 for Alpine, and of course Alonso has proven why at the age of 40 he still belongs in Formula 1. He is an incredible talent. 3rd place in his Carlos sights, 8.33. I know it seems a bit high for Carlos, but he has settled in so well at Ferrari. Okay, he doesn't have Leclerc's qualifying speed, but his race performances have been so good, finishing 2nd at Monaco, finishing 3rd at Hungary. You know, constantly making great recoveries to score many points for Ferrari, and of course because of his 2nd place at Monaco, along with Leclerc's 2nd place at Silverstone, Ferrari are sitting in a net P3 in the Constructors' Championship on countback, thanks to his and his teammates' great efforts. 2nd place and arguably the driver of the season, but due to my scoring method, he's only 2nd. It's Lando Norris. Right until Hungary, he had been scoring points in every race so far this season. Just unbelievable. And I think he'd actually also completed every lap of all the races we've done so far. Just so consistent. He has come of age this season, Lando. He did have that big crash in qualifying yesterday, though, at this weekend's Belgian Grand Prix. But, you know, hopefully he doesn't wake up with too many sores in his back, but maybe his form might be finally coming to an end, but he was very unlucky to be taken out by, of course, everyone's favourite Finnish polling pinball, Mr. Valtteri Bottas. That was absolutely bang out of order by Valtteri, who surely has got to leave Mercedes at the end of this season, because otherwise, if he signs on for another year for 2022, that means his current stint at Mercedes will be lasting longer than Kimi Raikkonen's 2nd stint at Ferrari not so long ago, where Kimi stayed for 5 years and there were Ferrari fans telling Kimi to go away. Yet if Bottas gets a contract renewal, he'll be entering his 6th year at Mercedes. That's farcical. Maxwell Stafford is my driver of the season so far. You know, he's qualified in the top 3 in every race, and his lowest score was 7 out of 10, which of course that was his score I gave him for his whole performance at Hungary, where he only finished 9th, but that was not his fault because his car was damaged. I was arguably being a bit harsh on him, but really I didn't know how to rate it. But I think his 2nd lowest score this season was his performance at Portugal, where I gave him 8.5 out of 10, but frankly, this season I've been giving him 9.5s out of 10, lots of a 9 and 4 10 out of 10s. Just, the guy is just simply doing such a sensational job, and the only reason why he's not well, the reason why he's actually lost the championship lead is, frankly, okay, he partly was dumb for not yielding at Silverstone, but of course it was a racing incident, and then he was extremely unlucky to be dive bombed by, of course, Mercedes number 2 driver, who does seem to take the role of team player a little bit too literally, and at this point it feels like Maxwell Stafford's 35-point lead was deliberately drilled into in a very dodgy way. Of course, the first one that happened in Silverstone was accidental, but the second one we saw most recently in Hungary did seem to smell very dodgy, very fishy. So if you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and do all the usual stuff here at Crystal Racing, and I'll see you again next time.